Hi everyone, this is Pastor Lindaria back with another word. God is literally moving like never before, and you don't want to miss what God has for you. If I was to title today's message, it would be Steady in the Storm. Steady in the Storm. We're going to be in two different books tonight, but they will all correlate together. We will be in Genesis chapter 1 and Matthew chapter 14. Before I get started on the actual reading of the word, I want to give you a word that God had actually had me write down in the beginning of the month. So, he said, "Steady in the storm, my child. A plane can weather the storm. You might experience some turbulence, but it's nothing that you cannot handle. You have survived worse." God is sending the storm to uproot the bad seeds. They will not remain planted on solid ground. They will not continue to grow that fruit. Steady in the storm. Do not panic because you are looking at your surroundings, Peter. You are in control, Peter. Walk on the water. You can do anything, Peter. That is what God gave me earlier in the month. See, sometimes when life gets to lifing, or hurricane life is what I like to call it, when it seems like everything is coming at you all at one time, it seems as if you're drowning. But you're not drowning. All you have to do is stand up. Have you ever seen someone panic in 2 feet of water thinking they're about to drown, when all they got to do is stand up? All you got to do is stand up and walk. So God spoke to me about that, and I sat with it for a while, and I said, okay, God, okay. And he says, how many times have you been drowning when all you got to do is stand? All you got to do is be still and know. So then, as he was talking to me about Peter, because I was like, all right, God, I'll read about Peter. I'll read about him walking on the water. And he said, my child, you can read about it, but I want you to go to Genesis so you can understand why I am telling you to be steady in the storm. So, journey with me over to Genesis chapter 1. And it's just one simple verse he gave me. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Then God said, "Let us make man in our own image, according to our own likeness, and let them have dominion." That is what he told me. And I'm going to read the rest of it. Read it again. Genesis 1:26. Then God said, "Let us make man in our own image, according to our own likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, and over all of the earth, and all of every creeping thing that creeps on the ground." So God created man in his own image. The image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. But the word dominion, he literally had me highlight, because he's like, you don't want to miss what I've been telling you. You don't want to miss what I've been telling you. How many of you been living lesser and walking with your head down and bowing when you need to be standing up and kneeling when you need to be standing up? God is saying that you have, in fact, dominion over everything. There's nothing impossible for you. 1, because you serve the I am possible. 2, because God has already predestined it and given it to you. All you got to do is walk and proclaim it. Now, what does this have to do with Peter? Journey with me to Matthew. So, in Matthew 14, they just fed the multitudes. They just literally watched Jesus do miracles. They were all hungry, and Jesus was like, all right. They saw a little boy. He had a little basket of food. just for himself, and they fed over 5,000 men and women. Well, men, and then it was also women and children there as well. So they fed well over 5,000 people. Now it's time for Jesus to retreat, because whenever you give a word, it takes a lot out of you. Whenever I personally give a powerful word, I'm walking around for a second. I'm trying to catch my breath. I'm losing my voice. I'm just rocking and shaking with God. And I just got to get a good 30, 40 minutes to get myself together, because the Holy Spirit is on me and I can't get him off me. And it's just something that I've never seen before. It's almost like I'm transformed. And the Holy Spirit is just like there. So I can only imagine the magnitude of how Jesus was doing it. I have nothing that scale. But I know what it is to be on fire. And when it's over, you still got God inside of you and you're just like trying to get it, but it's still fire in your veins. So Jesus had to take a retreat for a second to gather himself back together. So in Matthew 14, it's, I think I want to start in 21 because they had just left. It says, now those who had eaten were about 5,000 men, besides the women and children. So it was way more than 5,000. It said beside the 5,000. Besides the 5,000, it was women and children as well. What I want to highlight, because in this little passage that I'm going to read you, one word shows up 3 different times. And whenever I see 3s and 2s with God, I know that he's trying to get our attention. On the 3rd day, he rose 3 days after Lazarus. All of these things, like God literally starts speaking to you when you see these things. So there's one word, and I want to see if you guys are going to catch it, that is repetitive 3 times. Matthew 14:22. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side. And he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now when evening came, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by waves, for the wind was contrary. Now in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Do not be afraid." And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if this is you, command me to come on the water with you." So he said, "Come." And when Peter had come out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the winds were boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink. And he cried out, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "O ye of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when he got into the boat, the wind ceased. Those who were in the boat came and worshiped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Y'all still with me? Okay. How many times was the word immediately spoken? 3, correct? 3 times. Whenever I hear God say immediately, there's something on the horizon. There's something happening. It started out simply saying, immediately Jesus made his disciple get in the boat. Why would they have to hurry and get into a boat after they just did a major miracle? Okay. And then it came and it said, immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer." When the disciples were afraid because they saw him walking on the water, and they said, "Is this a ghost?" But immediately Jesus spoke to them. And here we are a 3rd time. It says, and immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him when Peter began to sink. God is speaking to me about the word immediately. And he's saying that there is an urgency in your life that cannot be waited on. There is something that needs his immediate attention. If he can't do it, it can't be done, but God can do all things. And there is something that you have been waiting on, and you need to have the faith to do it. But God is going to show up immediately in your life like never before. Expect the immediate to happen. So I'm going to get to Peter. Yeah, my boy, my doubting Peter. But before I get on Peter, let's get on to the fact that there were 12 disciples, was it not? There was 12 disciples, yet one had that big faith. One had that crazy faith. One had that I can walk on the water with Jesus faith. One dared to think outside of that box. 1 out of 12. I wonder what the other 11 were doing when he decided to take that faith walk. I wonder how many of them were saying in their head, oh, he crazy. Oh, why would he do that? Why would he actually walk on water? Like, don't he know that there's sharks out there? Don't he know that it's already a storm out here? Like, who do he think he is? Why is he walking on water? Why are you not walking on water? Why are you not exercising your faith? Don't you see the Messiah walking on water? Aren't you a friend of him? Haven't you seen him do miracles? Why are you settling for safe? How many of us have seen modern day miracles in our lives, but continue to doubt and continue to settle for safe and continue to critique others when others have the ability to walk on that water? They're daring to be different, but instead you want to put them back into that box. There are a lot of people sitting inside of the box saying, aren't you supposed to be in here with us? The 11 disciples were sitting in that boat looking at Peter like he was gone mad, like he was a madman. Who was he to walk on that water and they couldn't? No one said you couldn't. You just didn't because you were afraid. And fear has a tendency to arrest some people. It has a tendency to arrest you and you can't do anything else but be afraid. But if you dare to think outside of that box, if you dare to burst outside that box, your life will never be the same again. Ever. Even though Peter's faith started wavering when the storm got to rocking, he still had enough faith to walk out there. I would rather start something and fail 100 times than live in regret and never, ever, ever, ever try. Do you know that I almost wasn't a pastor? Because I didn't know I was me. And I used to say, what can I even say to these people? These people go think I'm crazy, God. And God says, do you believe in me? Absolutely. Then feed my sheep. Simon Peter, lovest thou me not? Then feed my sheep. Let's get back to it. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by waves, for the wind was contrary. So Jesus was away, and when he decided to come back, it was already a storm happening. See, the storm was already rocking when Peter was inside that boat. Jesus saw the storm and said, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's storming. I'm still finna walk out there. And they're in the middle of a sea. I don't think you understand the magnitude of what this means. Do you know how vast a sea is? How wide the sea is? And they're in the middle. Ain't no land for miles. There's no land for miles. And here's Jesus just making my way downtown, walking past it. Because it's storming. And he's walking just like it's nothing. Looking at the winds, looking at the lightning, looking at the shark, see Free Willy down there. Hey, how you doing? He just minding his business, walking in the middle of a storm. Now, some people might think he crazy for walking out in the middle of the sea during a storm when the winds were contrary. And they're in the middle. And Jesus is like, all right, I see y'all. I'm on my way. Like, I'm on my way. Yeah, ain't no cell phones back then. But if they had one back then, he's like, yeah, all right, I see y'all. I'm on my way. But it's a storm. Okay, I said I'm on my way back. And he began to walk out there. So get this. It says, now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost," and they cried out in fear. It is a ghost in the middle of the sea. Who is it, Casper? Stop playing. Sometimes we're afraid of the shadow because we don't know that it is actually us. Jesus wasn't afraid because there's nothing to fear. Not when you go back to Genesis and it says that we have dominion. Even if it was a ghost, what are you afraid of? Do you not have dominion? God already declared it the day he made you. He already told you what you got dominion over. Even a ghost got to bow to you, baby. You're somebody mighty. You're somebody powerful. If only you would believe. If only you would believe. That's what stops us from actually being our biggest self. It's our belief system. Some of us are trapped in a poverty mindset because we think that this is all it's going to be. This is as good as it gets. You got a couple $100 and you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, but as long as you got enough to watch a little movie, go out on a little date, you feel like this is as good as it gets. But you have a kingdom inheritance with your name on it. You got to flip the switch and realize that you're worth so much more. And that you, in fact, have dominion. So let's get back to it. It says, "But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, 'Be of good cheer. It is I. Do not be afraid.'" And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come on the water." Jesus said, "Come." Now Peter asked for himself, true. But if you're ever around favor when favor is falling, you don't want to just let favor pass you by. If I was in that boat and I heard Peter be like, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come," and I heard Jesus say, "Come," and he didn't just say, "Come, Peter," I think that's an open invitation for me. Because God tell me to come, or if he tell anybody in my vicinity to come, God, unless you tell me not to come, I'm out here, my boy. I'm out here. I'm not finna play with nobody. I'm out here high-stepping over Free Willy. I'm over here high-stepping over a great white shark. I'm over here. I'm out here. I'm doing something that no one in my family has ever done. And I'm not finna waver. It said that he began to walk on the water, not take baby steps. It said that Peter began to walk on the water. And I don't know about you, but when I go for a walk, I go for a walk. And Jesus already out there in the middle of the sea. So I can only imagine how far they began to walk before Peter started looking at his surroundings. This is why it's very imperative that you choose the right circle. That you choose the right circle. Because if you choose the wrong circle, they're going to start saying little things into you. They're going to start saying that, "Did you really dream that dream? You know somebody like you can't do something like that. You know where you come from? You really sure that God told you that it's going to be you doing that? Because you know somebody like you from a place like you really can't be doing all that. Well, you really think that you're going to have the finances to open that building? You barely pay your rent. You really sure that God told you that? Did God really tell you to come? Because you barely got anything. Did God tell you to go to that car lot? You ain't even got good credit. Did he really tell you to go apply for that house? You know your credits go down. And you ain't even got no loan you ain't even got no money for no down payment. Did God really tell you that? So then you start looking around like, I don't really know if God told me that. I don't know. Maybe I was just listening to myself. And all of a sudden, you start looking at your surroundings and start thinking. Did God really tell you you're going to have a husband? You can't even be faithful right now. You got all these bodies on you. Did he really tell you you're going to have children and you barren? Because your father, they wasn't no good daddy anyway. So who know what kind of parent you're going to be? You ain't never been loved, right? Did they really tell you you're going to get that job? You're not even qualified for that job. So I don't even know what you're going to go up there and apply for. You got to kill the voices. If you don't kill the voices, it will take you out. Be careful who you surround yourself with. Be careful who you're listening to. What we take inside our body seeps inside. And if the devil can plant a little seed of doubt, it will start blooming into a big tree of doubt. In Peter's case, he started listening to the storm. He started listening to the wind blowing and howling howling like it was the big bad wolf. He started listening to the waves crashing into the boat. And now he's afraid that he's about to sink. He started listening to the lightning trying to intimidate him as if he's not walking on the water. He started listening to the whales saying, "What are you doing out here? You don't belong out here." He started listening to the sharks saying, "Don't you know I could eat you if you slip?" He started listening to everything but the right thing. And he took his eyes off the prize. He took his eyes off of Jesus. He took his eyes off the very person that gave him permission to come in the first place. God gave you that dream in the first place, and you took your eyes off of God and you started listening to everything around you. In this season, you're going to have to put blinders on like they do in a horse during a horse race. Because if that horse looks left and right while it's running, it's going to get scared and it's going to do something that it don't need to do, and the whole race is going to be gone. It is time for you to put blinders on. You can't afford to lose yourself this season, and you can't afford to listen to all the naysayers. You can, in fact, do anything. Peter, why are you afraid, Peter? You were already walking on that water. Peter, why are you afraid, Peter, when you got dominion over everything, Peter? Peter, why are you afraid when you're walking with Jesus, Peter? Peter, why are you afraid when you got off that boat in full confidence and you began walking, Peter? Not tiptoeing, not half-stepping. You begin walking and talking with Jesus, Peter. Peter, why are you afraid, Peter? You're bigger than the storm. You are already conquering the very thing that's impossible. Peter, you're already doing the impossible. Peter, why are you afraid? Peter, why are you afraid? You're walking with Jesus, Peter. Peter went to looking at everything that the world said that he could not be. And he started doubting himself. And he started fumbling. Now he's sinking and he said, "Lord, help me. Lord, help me." And immediately Jesus lifted him up and said, you of little faith, why are you doubting me? But you know one thing I will say, Peter, you got out of that boat. You got out of that boat, Peter. That means you got something different inside of you. That means you got the heart of the lion inside of you. All you got to do is get a little bit of more confidence, Peter. Because everybody else settled for safe. But you say, "Oh, I'm not missing this blessing. The Messiah is right there. My Lord is right there. I got to be where he at. I got to walk on this water. And if I fall, you going to help me get back up over and over and over again. At least I tried, Lord. Help my unbelief, Lord. Help my unbelief, Lord. But at least I tried, God. At least I tried. The wind was blowing and said I couldn't do it. The ocean was rocking and said I couldn't do it. The whales was laughing and said I couldn't do it. But God, I got out here, God. My family said I couldn't do it. My friends said I couldn't do it. My lover said I couldn't do it. But God, I tried, God. But God, I tried. It says in the Bible, a just man falls 7 times and rises back up 8. It is time for you to get back up again, Peter. It is time for you to get back up again, Peter. You will not drown here. You will not die here. You will get back up again. And you will come off of that boat, because you're not ever going to settle for safe ever again. And you will walk side by side with God. It is time for you to know who you are again. And they might laugh at you. They might say that dream not going to come to pass. They might say you crazy for believing in something like that. But I challenge you, everyone that's under the sound of my voice, I challenge you to dream your biggest dream. Write it down and give it to God. And when you write this dream down that you see, leave no detail out. Write your dream as if you're telling me a story. Don't leave nothing out. Tell me what the cashier got on. Tell me what the person in the audience got on. Write it down and dream your wildest dream and watch what God does. See, when you get out that boat, it's going to seem scary. It's going to seem real scary. But you can do it. You, in fact, can do anything. I just need you to believe that you can. Don't doubt yourself. Look back at that boat and look back at everybody that settled for safe. And look back at God and say, I will never settle for safe ever again. I am a water walker, and I will walk on this water. I have dominion over it. So wind, be quiet. So storm, stop raging. So water, stop rocking. So well, be quiet. I will conquer the very thing that thinks is going to conquer me. Mama, be quiet. Daddy, be quiet. Cousin, be quiet. Lover, be quiet. Friends, be quiet. I'm about to do something that you ain't never seen before. And I'm about to conquer the very thing that thinks is coming to conquer me. I will win. I will be a lender to many nations and a borrower to none. I am the head and I am not the tail. I am above and I am not beneath. This is my season and I can do anything. Yes, you can. I love you all. My name is Lendaria Watts. My title is Pastor. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Lendaria Watts. Both of them are verified. You can find me on YouTube at Pastor Lendaria Watts. And you can find me on TikTok at the original Pastor Lendaria. I only have one page. I pray this message motivates you to be your best version, to do some major faith moves and challenge exactly what you heard. If God said it, understand this, he is not a man, so it is impossible for him to lie. He is surely going to bless you. All you got to do is step out on faith. All you got to do is walk on water. Don't you dare look at your surroundings and think that they're too big. Don't you dare look at your surroundings and think that it's impossible. In Genesis 1, it says that you have dominion over everything. And you do. And you do. Peter, don't you dare settle for safe. Steady in the storm, Peter. Walk, Peter. Walk. All you got to do is come and walk with me and talk with me and dwell with me. Watch God work it out in your life. The favor is falling. Dare to catch it. Dare to walk on water. You can do it. I love you all.